All right. Hi, guys. This is Karthik from Caapid Simplified, and I'm recording this video all of a sudden, instinctively, because this is one question that's coming up so many times from so many interview candidates. And what's the question? How do I deal with failure? Now, why is this such a difficult question to answer? Why is this such a big problem? Is failure something that we do not face? Is it unconventional? But the crazy thing about this question is that people do not want to look bad. In every other question, you can make a very good, strong impression, but failure alone is pretty tricky. Yes, we all agree that you need several wrong steps to get one step right. You have several failures before one success. You could say it's the stepping stone to success. However, success in this case is actually getting through the interview. So even before you accomplish that, you can't really say that you failed for the right reasons. So, I'm going to give you a simple strategy on how to answer this question, something that's really worked, especially in the last course of interviews. We had a graduate just get into UNC out of 4 seats, and this worked for her as well. So, I believe it's probably a good trick. Simple. Start with a very simple framework of problem, action, and result. State the situation or the problem that you faced, or in this case, you can mention where you failed. Be point blank and say, I did not do this exam well, or I did not complete this thing, or I wanted to complete this particular milestone in my life, but it got postponed due to childbirth, or because I was traveling, or because I was not concentrated, or because I had too many things on my plate. So once you mention what that specific incident is, then you go on to, I actually said the second part is the action, or why did it happen? Why did that failure take place? And when you talk about why the failure took place, you should be very sure not to mention an event. You should be sure to mention an action, something that's repeatable. What am I saying? Now, if I'm going to ask you a question about I didn't perform my NBDA exam well and I failed the first time, an event is I didn't do this well because of the floods. I didn't do this well because of something that happened in my life at that point of time. I didn't do this well because somebody important to me, close to me, passed away. I didn't do this well because I wasn't in the right mental state because of something. That is an event. And why should we not mention events? Because events don't repeat in life. Instead, what you should mention is something that can repeat in life from time to time. Something like, I did not do my NBDA exam well because I took too many things on my plate at that particular point of time. I did not do my NBDA exam well because I saw a lot of news on social media about people preparing and cracking NBDEs so much that the negative information got into me and started started to self-question myself about my abilities. I did not do my NBDE exam well because I tried to prepare too much in the theoretical aspects and completely become devoid of how this would be applicable clinically. I did not perform my NBDE exam well because I was focused only on a few narrow subjects that are my core areas of strength and actually kind of deprioritized the ones that weren't my core strengths. Now you see, these reasons can happen at any point of time with any problem or any challenge. Taking too many things on your plate, prioritizing the few things you like over the ones that you do not like, kind of cocooning yourself or not being open to feedback, taking negative information in excess of that, and actually questioning whether you have a good standing with your competition. Well, these are things that aren't specific to just NBDE, but they can be repeated. So once you mention this action, so after you mention the situation, the problem, or the actual failure, where did you fail, you go on to say the action or the reason behind what are the set of events that happen. Next, you talk about how you overcame this. This is the second part of your action. So what I did when I had too many things on my plate, of course, I did pass my NBDA exam eventually, but what I do nowadays when I have too many things on my plate is that I probably use mindfulness techniques to prioritize what's most important for me. I use a simple sticky page, a sticky note on my PC to see how many things I have for a certain day and eliminate what's not on the top 3. I use a simple approach of going back to my list, writing a diary entry, and then going back to the people who I committed to and saying, no, I know I promised this, but I must say, I cannot do justice to it, so I'd rather refuse helping you in this initiative. I take a stance in prioritizing what's only most important for me and focusing on them. I try to take up life one challenge at a time and then take those challenges sequentially. I try to focus on what's on my plate right now rather than what's going to come tomorrow. So you can now think about the different actions that you used to overcome that specific failure, right? Now think about it. We started with the failure being a specific incident or a specific activity. From there, we went to a very generic action that led to that failure, right? The failure itself can be the symptom, but the reason behind that is something else, and the reason should be generic. Now, once we spoke about the generic reason, then we spoke about our action to overcome this generic reason. And finally, we talk about result. Now, people confuse an event-based result with an active result. Now, let me tell you what the difference is. There's an event and a behavior-based result, not an active one. Yeah. Event-based result is saying, I passed in BD, boom. A behavior-based result is saying, I learned how to prioritize better when I have too many things on my plate. You found the difference? Now, why is a behavior-based result much more important? That's because when such a situation ever comes to you again in life, you are directly conveying to the interviewer how you would tackle that situation. Which behavior of yours that you have now improved upon will help you tackle that situation, such a similar situation again, and prevent a possible failure. So the secret to cracking this question is very simple. Try to divert your attention from an event being a failure to an episode being a failure. Try to divert your result from succeeding at the event to a behavioral change that will live with you forever in life. If you can position this question pretty simply to not focus on the depth of the failure or how difficult or how grieving that failure is, but rather focus on what were the key lessons, what were the set of attitudes that led to that failure, you are going to succeed in this question. Some people go on to say that I had this patient and this patient had such dementia, they had this problem, they were aged and old, and I wasn't able to treat them well. I consider that a failure. Well, the failure itself isn't very impactful because the patient was in such a bad state. That's like being biased towards or being sympathetic towards patients who have a certain background, that's not the norm. You cannot assume that somebody who comes from a difficult background without parents have a different set of level of pain compared to somebody who has everything gifted in their life, right? You must treat the cause, you must not treat the background. So, and therefore it's important not to describe the failure too much. You should just say there was a set of behaviors within me that led me to assume that because this person came from a point of privilege, that their pain was different. And I really didn't empathize with them. I thought they were already in the best place. They had access to financial care and had the best of benefits in their life to overcome these challenges. So that mental block that every patient is not the same and they have different access to privileges led me to not deliver the best of care to them. Do you get it? I'm trying to push the failure from the event itself to a set of attitudes or behaviors within me that set me up for failure. And then I'm talking about the set of actions I did, corrective actions, interventions I did to change my behavior or attitude, not the event itself. It's not like I'm going to say that I immediately took a paper and asked them to write down their case and try to hide what the patient's name is and age and background demographic details are to give them unbiased care. Instead, I can say, at that moment, I took help in asking someone on how do I undergo bias training and learn how to give the same level of care to every patient irrespective of their background. Can we anonymize the patient when they come in and not know who they are? Can we not ask them questions that are biometric or sensitive information that gives us some insight into what kind of level of privilege they come from? Or can I just train myself not to view a patient differently if they come from a certain level of care or a certain level of privilege? These are the set of attitudes that will help you empathize with anybody in any scenario, not just a patient within your clinic who comes, right? So if you follow these set of techniques, you should be able to crack this answer. I'm not going to go over this video a little more because it's almost 10 minutes already, but all the best. Next time you get a question that asks you, when was the last time you failed? You have to nail it. And the way you nail it is episode over event, behaviors over results, and then you've got your answer. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.